Hey guys, it's Happy Monday and Gems of War. So here I am again with my weekly Soulforge video. We're going to go over what's in the Soulforge, what troops, what weapons, and then, we'll look at our usual stuff that's going on this week. So let's get right into it. We have a new troop here. And I'm not even going to try to say the name of this one. We're going to go and look at the Soulforge first, though, before we go get that troop and take a look at what it does. Soulforge, and I always like to check the weapons first. We have the Shooting Star that here is in here. Divinian Field's weapon. Dispel all enemies, deal 34 damage to an enemy, and eliminate half their attack. Dispel all enemies is a good thing, but you can basically get this free by leveling up a class. What is it? The Sentinel class has it, and there's a few others that do have this dispel. I think Dragon Guard 2 has it, where it's just a talent in the class tree where you can select it, and on a 4 or 5 match you can dispel all enemies. So you basically can get that ability for free without using a weapon like this. The damage is not anything that's really that good, and eliminating half their attack, I mean, that only matters if you're targeting the first enemy, and this weapon would be a lot better if it said it steals half their attack instead of eliminates it, because you're not really benefiting a whole lot from getting that attack down to half, other than you're mitigating the some attack damage on your hero probably. But other than that, like, I would prefer that it would be steal attack, not eliminate. So I don't recommend to craft that weapon. It's not that great. I don't think it's worth the 300 diamonds. You save up 500 more diamonds, you can buy a legendary card. Not that I really recommend buying legendary cards, but that's just a comparison about price. Doomed Chronicle is here in the Forge, but it is not one of the better Doomed weapons, so I don't recommend it. Costs 900 diamonds, pretty costly. Rosebow is one of those mana generating weapons. I don't recommend getting this weapon because there is not really a whole lot of great Divinian Fields troops. So I don't recommend any weapons in the Forge this week. Troops. Let's go through the summoning stones really quickly, and then we will get to the more important troops here. For blue color, nothing here that I see to recommend. Green. I mean, Giant Spider is good, but everybody has that. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's played the game up to like level 500 that doesn't have. Actually, I think Giant Spider is a quest reward, I think. As for this color, which is red, I don't see anything here. Yellow, nothing good there. Purple. Yeah, purple means Storm Singer is a good mana transformer. If you're going to select a color to transform it into blue, it will summon a random storm, which could be useful, but I don't recommend wasting stones trying to get that. For brown, nothing here either. So nothing. I'm going to recommend to not try to get anything in the summoning stones this week. There's just really nothing good there. As for legendaries, there is a couple in here that are interesting, pretty powerful in some sense, but I'm not going to recommend crafting any of them. But I will talk a little bit here about what I think of them as a troop. So Web Spinner is really, really good, but only if you have enough trait stones to get the final trait here, Lethal Toxin. It'll deal triple skull damage to poisoned and webbed enemies. It inflicts web when doing skull damage. So as long as there is no immunity to web, you're always going to be doing triple skull damage to that enemy. Unfortunately, this troop would be like, it would be god tier in my opinion if this first one was changed to immune to entangle instead of immune to poison. Who cares really about poison? But if it was immune to entangle, because that's one of the biggest counters to Web Spinner is getting entangled. And there are quite a few classes. Well, I shouldn't say quite a few, but there are a number of classes in the game where at like level 10 you have a talent in the tree that's called Root Trap, which entangles the first enemy troop at the beginning of the battle until they can recover from it. So that can be a devastating counter to Web Spinner, as well as other troops that just entangle. So this troop would be amazing. I mean, it's already really, really good, but it would be amazing as a legendary troop if this was immune to entangle. But it's not, so, you know, I don't recommend crafting it really, but this final trait here, these two last traits are where this troop is amazing. Because the damage to all enemies really isn't that great, and creating 9 green gems, it's okay. It does create mana for itself, but it's like everything that's amazing about this is there in the traits. The Great Maw, this is a guaranteed devour troop. I believe it is the highest mana cost of any legendary card in the game. I could be wrong about that, but I off the top of my head, I can't think of a legendary troop that's higher than 24. The other high ones are usually 18. So this is like mythic level of mana cost. It does take 2 different colors, brown and yellow, but it is a guaranteed devour. And one fun fact about the Great Maw is that if you have multiple copies of it and you put two or more of them in your team, only one of them can devour. Once one of them devours a troop, all of them will be basically silenced. They can't cast, they can't collect mana. So that kind of is unfortunate, because I think a team with multiple Great Maws would be interesting. I don't think it would be any more game breaking than something like the Skeleton Key team, because you got a high mana cost here, and if you have multiple Great Maws, you're going to have mana blocking each other, and it's pretty high mana cost. So I don't know why they designed it that way, but they did. A little unfortunate. But this troop is a great disruptor. There's not too many people that use this troop anymore, but it's a really great disruptor. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of hero classes that are not immune to devour. Now, some of them are. All of the ones that have rock solid usually do have that final 100 level talent called Fortitude, which means that it can't be devoured. But that's what I mean, is this is a great disruptor. So you can put the Great Maw on your team with maybe something like Mountain Crusher, generate some quick mana for it, and then just devour the hero class if you can, or the most dangerous troop on the team, enemy team. You can just eliminate it with a solid devour if it doesn't have an immunity to that. So, Great Maw, it is very interesting in teams like that. Now we have Queen Titania, which is also a really good troop, but it really shines the most when you combine it with a couple of other troops. There's the Yao is a common one to put with it, and Flameifer is a weapon that is common to put with this. And then Taipan, or there's that newer troop that they came out with called Summer's Child, I think, which both of those will start with full mana if you have them fully traded, and they can convert brown gems to red. And this one does a lot of damage to all enemies, boosted by red enemies and allies. And then if you have 13 or more red gems, you can gain an extra turn. And then on 4 or 5 matches, you Fairy Fire, which Fairy Fire is going to give you an extra 50% spell damage on your attacks. So Queen Titania is a pretty good legendary. Umberwolf is the last legendary here in the Forge this week. Now, this troop is really great for soul farming, because you can create a Darkstorm at the start of every turn. That's one of the main, or really the only reason that I think people even use this troop, because it has a weird transforming ability, which is, I don't know, a little annoying. I don't use it for that at all. I use it passively for this final trait here, creating that Darkstorm. But other than that, I would say the best legendaries in here are going to be your Web Spinner, Great Maw, Queen Titania. Umberwolf lacks a lot of damage for obvious reasons, but but I don't recommend crafting legendaries, like I said, unless you're trying to collect them. Alright, so let's get on to the mythics here. We have Death is in the Forge, And this is still a troop that I don't own. I might craft it this week just because I'm trying to collect all these Apocalypse troops now. I only have one, maybe two of them, and I'm trying to get like the other two or three. And you can't get these because they're not connected to a kingdom. There's no kingdom called Apocalypse, so you can't get these by opening event keys. And that's usually where I try to hone in on mythic troops, as I save up a bunch of event keys, and then when that kingdom comes around, you can just spend a bunch of event keys, and you usually can get pretty lucky if you have enough of those keys. But you can't do that with the Apocalypse troops, so you either have to get extremely lucky with keys and getting them. And right now, my chances are I'm going to get a duplicate of a different mythic that I own before I get these, if I do that. So my best chance of getting these Apocalypse troops are by crafting them. Anyway, what do I think of this troop? Well, I don't own it, so I can't really give you guys my definitive opinion on it. But just from looking at its ability, I don't think that it's really that great. Deathmark is not as dangerous as it used to be, and it still has this really weird feeling to me. I always feel like I die quicker to death marks than when I put death marks on enemies. Which is really, really weird. I don't know why. The scatter damage is not really that great. It's boosted by its life, and it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so it's half its life will be added to the scatter damage. And since it's scatter damage, it's not even like true scatter damage. It's just not going to give you that much damage potential. And here, stealing 2 life from the first enemy at the start of each turn is really just absolutely nothing. That is so low. And when this troop came out, there was nothing like the medals that we have now. And if you have these Yasemin medals, they give you all your troops 8 life per medal, and you do. If you have 3 of those on, equipped, that's a lot of extra life that, this 2 life from the enemy at the start of each turn. Now, I suppose if this is like your very first mythic and you're like level 100, level 200, and you do have like an orb of wisdom that you can unlock this final trait, it might be really amazing for you at that low level, because those troops will have low life and you won't have medals yet. And most of the opponents you're facing in PvP at that level, in the first couple hundred levels, they won't have medals yet either. So this might be one of those mythics that are only like pretty good when you're very, very low level and it's your first mythic troop. But once you get up to higher levels, it's just gonna really fall off and not be great. So then we have some other amazing troops here. We have the Wild Queen, which is, if you watch my recent Mythic Tier video that I released, the Wild Queen placed really high in the first S tier. So it is one of my favorite Mythic troops, and I think it is one of the most powerful Mythic troops in the game. It will steal attack from an enemy and give it to the first ally, and it creates a mix of 22 skulls and green gems. So a combination of increasing the attack of the first troop and creating skulls and gems that could also fill up this troop again. Just really amazing ability there, and you can keep using it on that first enemy. And as well as it's actually an elemental and a wild folk, so it can start with 50% mana if you have the Miraji Queen from the Underworld, or if you have the legendary troop card, King Salnus from I believe it's the Panvale Kingdom. Those two will give it 50% starting mana, which is really, really nice. But I tend to use the Miraji Queen with it because it gives elementals half mana, and the Miraji Queen is really great with this troop. And I'll show you a couple of teams with some of these troops here. Suna is also another great mythic troop, but I didn't rank it that high just because it takes a while to get its ability powered up. Now, it does have scaling. Okay, so this isn't like it isn't a very weak mythic troop. It's actually pretty strong, but it takes a while. It takes multiple casts to really get it up to a point where it's very powerful. So it's going to steal life from the 2 weakest enemies, and then it's going to steal 8 magic from the 2 strongest enemies. So it's going to steal 16 magic every single time you cast it, as well as stealing that life. So it does have some survivability there. It does have Fairy Fire, a random enemy when matching red gems. And as I stated about Queen Titania, it's the same kind of effect where you're going to get 50% extra spell damage to those enemies under Fairy Fire. So Suna is a pretty good troop, but I think the Wild Queen is certainly much better. Megavore, I think, is also better than Suna, but for the reason that it just has massive damage potential. So Megavore it's an interesting troop. It will eliminate all armor from all enemies, which is really actually pretty amazing because when you think of the damage potential of that, it also has a pretty high magic here, so it's basically going to be doing true damage because it's going to eliminate all the armor from all the enemies first, and then it will do its damage. Then it will submerge itself, which is also pretty good. That can dodge the damage to wall effect that any kind of spell ability has. Now, eliminating all armor from all enemies. Now, if you consider going into a delve with this at level 500, and let's say that all the enemies have something like 400 armor, or let's just say 500 armor at level 500, well, one hit with Megavore, you're going to eliminate 2,000 points of armor from that entire team. That's 2,000 damage that this troop can have at a level 500 delve. So even for like a level 12 explore battles, Megavore is also pretty strong in that sense that it can eliminate all that armor. But one of the other things too, Death Below, its last trait, has an 8% chance to kill the last enemy on a 4 or 5 gem match. So one of the things that I like to do with Megavore is always make sure that I have some kind of mana generator. Either a troll that's going to be doubling the mana on the board, or Mountain Crusher is really good because Megavore uses brown. So if you use like something like Mountain Crusher, you can generate, first of all, a lot of mana so you can power it up quicker. And then Mountain Crusher is going to create that Dust Storm so that you'll get more brown gems falling down, and you will quite frequently get that 4 or 5 gem match, and that will a lot of times proc this 8% chance to lethally kill the last enemy. So that's a good combination to use. So as far as like the most important mythics that I would craft first here in the Forge, if you didn't have any of these, I would say the Wild Queen, then Megavore, and then Suna third, and finally Death is in fourth place as far as where I'm going to put these this week. So that's what I think about the mythics there. Now let's go over and take a look at a few teams with a couple of those mythics real quick. Just want to show you like a couple of team ideas. The Wild Queen here, this is one that I like to use. You can replace the Moonsinger with Leprechaun or even Gobtraffle, but the Moonsinger or Leprechaun are the two that I like to kind of use in there. Moonsinger is a empowered troop. Once you unlock that final trait, it will start with full mana, and you can convert purple gems to green. Also, it Hunter's Marks the first enemy, which is also really important in this team build because Hunter Mark troops are going to take double damage from skulls. And what are we going to be doing with the Wild Queen? We're going to be creating skulls. And what are we going to be doing also? We're going to be stealing attack and adding it to the first enemy. So the Hunter's Mark here is also going to be really good in this team. Also, like I said before, I like to use the Mirage Queen with the Wild Queen because it will cause the Wild Queen to start with 50% mana, but also it will convert all green gems to Doom Skulls. So the Wild Queen is going to be creating green, Moonsinger is going to be creating green gems, and when the Mirage Queen is full, you can cast that and it'll just decimate the enemy because all those green gems will be converted to Doom Skulls. So I really do like this team here. And obviously in the first spot, I have the Essence of Evil, which pretty much everybody knows about that weapon by now. And I think I missed out on a match there from this, but that's okay. I'm trying to move along pretty quick here and I got distracted, but it's there for future. And as you can see, now I have 90 attack up there because of the Wild Queen, and, you know, we can just keep matching skulls and pretty much kill all these guys. Now, like I said, here is the great Mirage Queen, and I don't need, well, let me take this first. Yeah, let's cast it on this first, and then see, this is why I think this combination is really powerful, because this creates green gems and skulls. So a lot of times you'll have a situation like this where skulls, uh, when you cast the Wild Queen, skulls and green gems line up so nice so you can get 4 matches, and then just cast the Mirage Queen, and it is like game over for the enemy. So that's a really good team for the Wild Queen. And now let's go take a look here at a couple of these Megavores. So this one is very, very Mythic Troop intense. So I'm going to show this one first, and then I'll show one that isn't so reliant on all these different Mythics. So this one is Mountain Crusher here at the top, and then we have this newer Mythic Troop here, Sycorax. Double a chosen color, so we can choose brown, we can choose whatever color that's going to line up for a lot of these. Megavore here is going to be awesome, and we're going to create Sycorax is going to be great for it because, one, it's going to whenever we double gems on the board, we can pretty much choose which gem to double and almost guarantee a 4 or 5 match, which gives us that 8% chance to kill the last enemy. And down here we have Mistralis for the enchant on a 4 or 5 match. So we can pretty much, once we get powered up here with Mountain Crusher, it'll be pretty much game over for the enemy. If you would stop just taking my brown, I'm trying to get brown here so I can get Mountain Crusher up, but he just keeps taking my brown, so, the AI is taking over, I guess. Here we go. See, but that 4 match with Mistralis there got everything enchanted, so that really helps. But we already got Megavore up, so we're just going to check for 4 or 5 matches, just in case. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and eliminate one of these. All the armor was eliminated, as you can see. Now, if you wanted to, you could do this with Mistralis. Just do some extra damage, get an extra turn. But, you can keep cycling Sycorax so that you can... And as you can see right there, that Megavore was MPV because he did like 223 damage. It's because he eliminates all that armor. So that's pretty amazing. And we're just going to go in here and I'm going to do a quick battle. With the second one here. Now, the second one doesn't have any other mythics except Megavore in it. However, I do have King Gobtruffle, which is a legendary. We're using the Force Troll as our main mana generator, and then we have Essence of Evil as also as a secondary mana generator, but also to inflict negative status effects. Gobtruffle is here for doing some damage, and then also creating those green and brown gems to fill up Force Troll and Megavore. So yeah, I'll go in here and see if we can win this battle with this team. A lot of it depends on lock-in since we're actually up against the Wild Queen in this team. We might actually... the other thing that's nice about this too is right here it inflicts entangle when doing skull damage, so we were able to kind of shut down that first troop from doing too much damage to me. So I'm going to go ahead here and shut down the Wild Queen with that Essence of Evil. See if we can get a 4 match there. Always make sure you get those 4 matches, especially when you got Megavore, just so that you can... Because that's the other great thing about Gobtruffle with Megavore is that Gobtruffle is going to be creating lots of 4 or 5 matches. And that will be good too for Megavore because you get that 8% chance whenever you're matching a 4 or 5 gem match. Yeah, we got a pet battle out of that. That's cool. So, yeah. That's basically teams there. I didn't prepare one for Suna, but pretty much with Suna, you just want to generate a lot of mana quickly with Suna just to cast it a lot of times so you can get the scaling up of its damage. That's pretty much the idea with that. So hopefully those 2 teams that I showed you there give you some ideas what you can do with those troops. And let's go in here and check out the new Glory troop. Where the heck is it? It's under weekly event. I always forget because it used to be under 1 tab and now they changed it. So, alright, should I try to pronounce this troop's name? Thau Matar. 300 Glory, and we get Arcane Dark Trait Stones for buying the troop. Its ability, it will deal damage to all purple enemies, then drain 1 to 3 mana from them. Okay, so pretty useless troop. At first I was like 34 damage to all enemies, and then I saw purple enemies. So it's pretty much useless except for maybe in Guild Wars on purple attack day, because it could that's the only time it's going to do damage, and then it can drain mana from them. So yeah, pretty useless troop. But as far as like, I like to get these up to mythic if I can afford it every single time, every week they come out, simply because it helps to raise the power level of your kingdoms the more troops that you have at that mythical level. So we're gonna go here, get our spoils of war really quick. And I'm by, I do spoils of war just because of that 10 event keys. Like I said, that's how I like to hone in on my mythics that I don't own. So as you can see here, I got over 1,000 now, and that's because I'm waiting for a kingdom to come around to where there's a mythic that I don't own yet. So I'm just saving them up. And one thing here that one thing that I want to tell you guys is you don't want to spend your event keys for a new mythic when it comes out every month. And we got a new one coming out. It's always the first Friday of every month is when a new mythic troop comes out. So I save up all my keys, my gems, my glory keys, and my guild keys for that mythic troop, because it gives you a really good chance of getting it. Because if you get a mythic in those keys, it's going to be the new mythic for that whole week when it comes out. But here's the thing, it will not be in event keys, because the event kingdom is usually different for that week than that new mythic that comes out. So don't spend your event keys during that time for the new mythic thinking that you're going to get the new mythic when you won't. So this week it is Divinian Fields, and the only mythic troop that's in here is the World Breaker. And it's an okay mythic. It's just there's way better ones to go for. So I would save your event keys. Don't even mess with that unless you really want the World Breaker. If you do, now's your time to spend those event keys. So yeah, we checked out all that. We checked out the new troop. We got Guild Wars going on this week, but I think I've covered Guild Wars a lot in my past videos enough where I don't have to go through and show you. I haven't even prepared my defense teams yet. You definitely want to upgrade your Sentinels some. It will give you a boost. Let me just go through here and just upgrade a few. Sometimes I like to save my gems. So a lot of times I will just do, because the max right here, 5 attack, you got to spend 85 gems. I don't think that's worth it. I have quite a few gems saved up, so I'll do like maybe 3 for 10. But I just don't think the extra all the way up to like 85. Like, no, I'm not spending an extra 75 gems to get the extra 4 life. No. So that's how I do it. I know there's some people that really just want to max out all of them, but I like to be a little careful about how many gems I'm spending. Now, Magic, in my opinion, Magic might be the one that you want to spend the most gems on, just to get, because that's how you're going to do most of your damage. But one thing to consider too is upgrading your Sentinels. There's a small percentage of the stats that you increased in your Sentinels that will go up to the players that are ranked above you in the Guild War. So you'll give more stats to them by upgrading your Sentinels here. Now, I'll just go over some of the basics here. Battles start in one day. But for attack day, there's going to be colors for that day. Like, there'll be red day. Let me see here, schedule. So for me, yellow day, we can see right here, we get an extra 50% bonus points for every yellow troop that we have in our team for attacking on that day. So you want to try to build a team that's using all yellow for that day, all blue for this day, all brown for that day, all green, and purple, and then all red. So that's how you can get extra points. So some of it is challenging to get those extra points because you have to find troop combinations that are all using the same color on that day. For defense, it doesn't matter with the colors. Defense, how you maximize your points in defense is that you got to use unique troops and weapons for each day in every spot. That way, you're going to get your extra bonus points for defense. That's all that matters there. So that's basically it, guys. 30-minute video here. So I'm going to end it now. Hopefully you got some useful information out of this video. And I really appreciate you guys, giving my videos thumbs up and liking them and commenting on them. I've had a busy life this past month. So I haven't had as much time to respond to comments, and I feel a little bad about that. But I do scan through and I do read whatever I can when I have time. So please continue to comment and give me your opinion on what you think about what I said about troops, and if I'm wrong in your opinion, or if whatever. Just, I like the interaction with the videos, so I appreciate you guys a lot. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.